Welcome back, everybody, to the Fantasy Birds. We are nearing the end of week 3 of fantasy basketball. I'm looking at 5 guys I'm willing to either sell high while they're hot or keep on my team for the remainder of the 2023 fantasy basketball season. Guys, I think that can continue to produce at the level that they are currently. Let's not waste your time. Let's hop into these guys I want to be talking about if I'm selling on my team right now in fantasy basketball. The first guy I want to talk about is Gordon Hayward, the small forward for the Charlotte Hornets. Now, Hayward is having a tremendous start to the 2023 campaign, averaging just over 18.5 points, 6 rebounds to go along with 5.5 assists per game. Not only is he doing it on the offensive side, on the defensive side in your category leagues, he's also contributing 2 steals per game nearly, and 0.8 blocks per game. Very impressive numbers from what we've seen in Hayward in the past. Now, do I think these numbers can continue over extended periods of the 2023 season? I personally do not. That's why Hayward is a sell high for me right now in fantasy basketball. In his last 4 contests, respectively, he's notched 27, 18, 20, and 23 points a night to go along with some very impressive rebounding and assist numbers. And the steals the last 2 games, he has 7 steals in the past 2 games. While the 18.5, 6, and 5.5 assists is very impressive, last year we saw him average 14.5 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists. I think Hayward is definitely profiting from the absence of Terry Rozier, who's dealing with a groin injury. We don't know the exact timetable he's going to return, but while Rozier is out, Hayward has stepped up tremendously for this Hornets team alongside LaMelo Ball. At age 33 season, I don't expect Hayward to continue this enormous jump we saw this current season to what he was performing at last year. He's nearly averaging a block per game through the short season so far. He hasn't averaged even half a block per game since the 2013 season. The field goal attempts are up. The usage is up. I just don't know how long this can carry forward for Hayward. Coming off an enormous game against the Washington Wizards, really back-to-back games, performances against the Wizards, who we know aren't a great defensive unit. I think this is an absolute perfect time to sell Hayward before we get news of Terry Rozier coming back into the starting lineup. Because once Rozier is healthy, playing alongside LaMelo Ball, those guys are going to dominate the ball. And I think this is the absolute perfect opportunity to sell Gordon Hayward while he is performing extremely well in this Hornets starting lineup. I don't expect Hayward to fall off a cliff once Rozier comes back, however. We're expecting this Hornets team to be without Miles Bridges for the entire 2023 season. So I still think Hayward's going to perform admirably for where he was drafted in the offseason, but I do expect the numbers to take a dip once Rozier comes back, so let's sell him while we can. The next guy performing very well recently is Shaden Sharp for the Portland Trailblazers. Now, unlike Hayward, I am not willing to sell Shaden Sharp right now. While he is performing very well, averaging just around 21.5 points over his last 4 contests, I don't see why this won't continue for Sharp for the foreseeable future. I mean, over the last 5 games, he's averaging 40 minutes played per game in Portland. There's nobody left in this backcourt. You're seeing injuries to Anthony Simons, Scoot Henderson, and now Malcolm Brogdon, all dealing with some serious injuries that are going to keep them off the floor for a significant time period. While Sharp's numbers do look really good, around 22 points a game like we talked about, this isn't very surprising because the last 10 games of last season in 2022, when Damian Lillard and Simons were out for that period of time, Sharp was able to average 24 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists to go along with a steal per game. So we've seen Sharp, when given this opportunity, he can perform and be a very good scorer in the NBA. So I do expect these numbers to continue going forward with the severe injuries that the Trailblazers are dealing with right now, especially in that backcourt where there's really nobody left. They're having to give Skylar Mays some minutes, productive scorer out of LSU, but if he's the only serious competition, Shaden Sharp should continue to rise in fantasy rankings going forward while these other backcourt mates miss some serious time. I mean, these guys playing 40 minutes a game just doesn't happen anymore in the NBA. So if Sharp's going to get these minutes, it's absolutely no-brainer to keep him on your roster while his value is going to continue to increase in Portland. Sharp was also on our sleepers video coming into the year. Now, some other guys on that list don't look very good right now. Tyus Jones, Jordan Poole, I think, to name a few. Those guys look abysmal in Washington right now. But Sharp was on our sleepers list, and he is performing. So we are very excited about his performance currently and going forward. Next guy I want to talk about who's been playing very well for the Cleveland Cavaliers is going to be Caris LeVert. Now, the numbers do look very impressive. 18.5 points, 4.5 rebounds, and 4.5 assists to go along with the steal for LeVert through the first couple of games of the regular season. However, similar to Gordon Hayward, I am selling Caris LeVert right now. I believe his value is only going to deteriorate as we continue throughout the regular season. Coming off a huge game against the Oklahoma City Thunder where he's able to put up 29 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists. But he was able to get to the free throw line 16 times in this game. I can't imagine that opportunity going to last very long in Cleveland. Let's not forget this Cavaliers team did have to deal with some serious injuries in the beginning portion of the season. Darius Garland missing some time with the hamstring injury, and Jared Allen with that ankle sprain, I believe. So those are 2 starters getting 30 to 33 minutes a night inserted back to this lineup where Caris LeVert was profiting on volume alone in the beginning portion of the season. The field goal percentage, pretty abysmal, but that volume was carrying him in the first 2 weeks. Let's look more into this volume that we were seeing from LeVert over the first 2 weeks, why we expect it to diminish as these guys become more healthy and play more minutes in the starting lineup. Like we said, he's averaging 18.5 points per game so far this year. The last 2 seasons in Cleveland, he's only been averaging 12 points and 13 points respectively. So a 5-point per game jump through the first couple of games this year. I don't expect that to continue. Also, the minutes, we're seeing 28 and 30 minutes he's been playing over the past 2 seasons. This year, 33 minutes, so those minutes ramping up with some injuries in the backcourt. In addition, we're seeing right around 15 field goal attempts for LeVert, where in the past we're seeing 10 and 12 field goal attempts the past 2 years in Cleveland. So we're seeing jumps in all of these volume categories for LeVert while these guys are out. So let's sell him while he's had that opportunity. Still coming off a very impressive game against the Thunder when these guys are healthy. So you can use that as a selling tactic. But I am looking to move off of LeVert while these guys, Darius Garland, Jared Allen, are just getting back to the starting lineup. With those minutes ramping up, I expect LeVert to revert back to the bench where he has and be a 6th man for this guy, but nothing in fantasy that I'm getting too excited about. So if I can sell LeVert now, I would be very excited to do so in any sort of trade. Okay, here we go. Another guy performing at the top of his game right now, Tyrese Maxiell for the Philadelphia 76ers. I am not looking to trade Maxey, okay? He's outperforming his draft position, but he was being drafted expecting to play alongside James Harden. 76ers, they shipped James Harden out, clogging this offense, hindering Maxey's ability to truly break out in Philadelphia. No longer the case. Harden gets dealt to Los Angeles, and Maxey is in a prime position to continue the efforts that he's been doing over the beginning portion of the season. 26 points, 5 rebounds, 7.5 assists from Tyrese Maxey so far. Huge numbers for a guy we've seen take steady leaps in his game each and every season. Now that Harden is out of the picture, there's no reason why Tyrese Maxey can't continue this run. I am personally not looking to sell Maxey even with this very impressive start. A guy who's also giving you right around 2 total combined steals and blocks per game while shooting 48% from the field, 92% from the free throw line, and contributing 3 3-pointers made per game. Maxey truly does look like a league winner this season. For where he was going in drafts to what he is contributing to the 76ers team alongside Joel Embiid, there's absolutely no reason to be trading Tyrese Maxey on a 76ers team that actually got better, trading James Harden away, getting some really good role pieces, and even some draft compensation just for dealing James Harden. I am so excited for Tyrese Maxey this season. So if someone sends you a trade offer trying to get him off your team, just no real reason to entertain that at all unless they completely blow you away with an offer, because I am very excited about what he's going to be able to do this season. The numbers in the beginning of the year definitely support that, and I don't see why he won't be able to continue that alongside Joel Embiid. The next guy who has put together some pretty decent performances over the last 4 games, Kilan Hayes for the Detroit Pistons. Now, you're not going to get any extensive value for Hayes, but I would look to trade him for pretty any sort of value. I mean, I don't think Kilan Hayes is going to hold any sort of weight going forward in fantasy basketball, but he has had a very impressive 4-game run while Jaden Ivey has missed with an illness. Over the last 4, he's playing 34 minutes a game, scoring 18.5 points, 6 assists, and 1.5 steals per game. Hayes has always been a good assist man, but the scoring is off the charts right now in the last couple of games. The last 4 games, he's shooting 17, 15, 12, and 8 respectively, field goals per game. So the volume has obviously increased with the illness to Jaden Ivey, but this backcourt is way too cluttered for me to even think that Kilan Hayes can be any sort of productive player in fantasy. Last season, he had the opportunity with Cade Cunningham missing the majority of the campaign. Hayes' numbers were okay. He was definitely a waiver wire pickup for us last year, but he didn't perform that admirably. So Hayes, if I can get any sort of value for him based off this 4-game stretch he is on currently, I am taking that in a heartbeat. This backcourt is just way too cluttered for me in Detroit. Led by Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey expected back. Marcus Sasser, a very productive scorer from Houston. He comes in this year. He's looking pretty solid. So while there isn't much to sell Kilan Hayes for, I definitely would take advantage of the value he currently has. One of the guys I was contemplating putting on this list was Scottie Barnes for the Toronto Raptors. Absolutely incredible start to the year for Barnes. A lot of people were actually fading Barnes coming into this season. They didn't expect him to make a huge leap this upcoming year. And now that he's performing extremely well, I don't want to necessarily say he's a sell high candidate because we've seen him play pretty solid basketball over his young career. I mean, he won Rookie of the Year just a couple of seasons ago, so he's a very talented player. Now, I don't think he can play to the level he has over the entire season. Top 10 fantasy points per game player. Like, he's averaging 50 fantasy points a night in certain league settings. So at that point, I would consider him a sell high if you can get a top 15, top 20 guy in return. But I do think he's going to be a good player over the course of the season. So I'm not just selling him for any bag of potato chips somebody offers me. But if you do get an elite ceiling type player drafted in the first 2 rounds of fantasy drafts, I definitely would consider that offer for Scottie Barnes. So the criticism he was taking in the offseasons from a lot of people around, definitely not warranted, and he's definitely proving that wrong. But not someone I'm willing to say is a must-sell-high player right now. So I kept him off the list today because he is kind of in limbo between sell-high and keep for the rest of the year. But let me know in the comments what you think of these 5 takes. Any guys around the league right now that you are selling high while the value is at its peak? Let me know in the comment section. Love hearing your guys' opinion. Hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more fantasy basketball content because we are going to continue to pump out these videos all 2023 season long. That's all I got today, though. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys next week with another episode of the Fantasy Birds.